Hello everyone, hope so you all are doing well. I am coming up with a new topic, I hope you all like that. Before starting, please subscribe and like my YouTube channel, thanks. Who invented the first video game? William Alfred Higginbotham was an American physicist. A member of the team that developed the first nuclear bomb, he later became a leader in the nonproliferation movement. He also has a place in the history of video games for his 1958 creation of Tennis for Two, the first interactive analog computer game and one of the first electronic games to use a graphical display. The Nematron was an electromechanical machine that played NIM. It was first exhibited in April till October 1940 by the Westinghouse Electric Corporation at the 1939 to 1940 New York World's Fair to entertain fairgoers. Conceived of some months prior by Edward Condon and built by Gerald Tawney and Willard. For video games, that person was Ralph Baer. Long considered the father of the video game, Baer's curiosity and persistence in the 1960s made possible the development and commercialization of the interactive video games and modern consoles we know and love today. The Magnavox Odyssey is the first commercial home video game console. The hardware was designed by a small team led by Ralph H. Baer at Sanders Associates, while Magnavox completed development and released it in the United States in September 1972 and overseas the following year. Bushnell's breakthrough took place in the same era as other technological developments in computing, most notably the personal computer. In 1970, he invented the first computerized video game, Computer Space. Although it was rudimentary and cumbersome, the game developed into the now legendary Pong the following year. In 1985, Nintendo Company, Ltd. is a Japanese multinational video game company headquartered in Kyoto, Japan. It develops video games and video game consoles. Nintendo was founded in 1889 as Nintendo Karuta by craftsman Fusajiro Yamauchi and originally produced handmade Hanafuda playing cards. After venturing into various lines of business during the 1960s and acquiring a legal status as a public company, Nintendo distributed its first console, the Color TV game, in 1977. It gained international recognition with the release of Donkey Kong in 1981 and the Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Mario Bros. In 1985. The Game Boy is an 8-bit fourth-generation handheld game console developed and manufactured by Nintendo. It was first released in Japan on April 21, 1989, in North America later the same year, and in Europe in late 1990. It was designed by the same team that developed the Game Watch series of handheld electronic games and several Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, games, Satoru Okada, Gunpei Yokoi, and Nintendo Research Development 1, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES. Commonly shortened to Super NES or Super Nintendo, is a 16-bit home video game console developed by Nintendo that was released in 1990 in Japan and South Korea, from 1988 to 1992. The Sega Genesis, known as the Mega Drive outside North America, is a 16-bit fourth-generation home video game console developed and sold by Sega. The Genesis was Sega's third console and the successor to the Master System. Sega released it in 1988 in Japan as the Mega Drive, and in 1989 in North America as the Genesis. In 1990. In 1994. Takashi Tezuka is an executive officer at Nintendo and a senior officer at Nintendo EPD. He was the general manager of Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development along with Shigeru Miyamoto, and directed many of the original titles Mario and The Legend of Zelda series in the NES and SNES. The Legend of Zelda, originally released in Japan as the Hyrule Fantasy, Zelda no Densetsu, is a 1986 action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo. The first game of the Legend of Zelda series, it is set in the fantasy land of Hyrule and centers on an elf-like boy named Link, who aims to collect the 8 fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom in order to rescue Princess Zelda from the antagonist Ganon. In 1997, a multiplayer video game is a video game in which more than one person can play in the same game environment at the same time, either locally and on the same computing system couch co-op, locally and on different computing systems via a local area network, or via a wide area network, most commonly the Internet e.g. World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, DayZ. Multiplayer games usually require players to share a single game system or use networking technology to play together over a greater distance. Players may compete against one or more human contestants, work cooperatively with a human partner to achieve a common goal, or supervise other players' activity. Due to multiplayer games allowing players to interact with other individuals, they provide an element of social communication absent from single-player games. The revenue of games, the video game sector is booming, and it's tipped to keep on growing. The expansion is expected to make the global gaming industry worth $321 billion by 2026, according to PwC's Global Entertainment and Media Outlook 2022-26. Global gaming industry revenues are expected to exceed $320 billion by 2026. VR industry. A virtual reality game or VR game is a video game played on virtual reality, VR, hardware. Most VR games are based on player immersion, typically through head-mounted display unit or headset with stereoscopic displays and one or more controllers. The AI, which is called artificial intelligence, in video games, artificial intelligence, AI, is used to generate responsive, adaptive, or intelligent behaviors primarily in non-player characters, NPCs, similar to human-like intelligence. Artificial intelligence has been an integral part of video games since their inception in the 1950s. 1. AI in video games is a distinct subfield and differs from academic AI. It serves to improve the game player experience rather than machine learning or decision making.